Hello everyone. Our next chapter is your first chapter in economics, the story of village Palampur. Palampur is a hypothetical village, and this village, like any other village, is having all the basic facilities, or we can say it's a bit advanced in comparison to the other villages we know, right? It is having all the basic facilities which are essential for leading a soothing lifestyle. We'll also be studying about what kind of activities do these people perform to earn their livelihood. Now, before we begin with this chapter, let's have a brief look at the flow chart of this chapter. Now, this is the flow chart of the chapter, which tells us about the non-farming activities which the village of Palampur, people of village of Palampur perform, the farming activities, the land distribution among the people of village of Palampur, what are the capital requirements by the people of Palampur, and what are the factors of production. Now let's begin with the introduction first. Introduction of village Palampur. Palampur is a small hypothetical village having about 450 families. It is 3 kilometers away from Raiganj, which is a big village. Shahpur is the nearest town to the village. The village is well connected with neighboring villages in town. The village is well connected by the road and most of the houses are electrified. It has 2 primary schools and 1 high school. There is a government primary health center and a primary dispensary, meaning all the basic facilities are available in Palampur. Now let's talk about the main production activities in village Palampur. Now, farming is the main production activity in the village Palampur. Most of the people are dependent on farming for their livelihood. Non-farming activities such as dairy, small-scale manufacturing activities like weavers, potters, etc., and transport, etc., are carried out on a limited scale. So, this is the farming activity being performed in Palampur. But what is the drawback of this farming activity? The drawback is in 1960, the amount of land which was available for farming is still today the same amount of land is available for farming in Palampur. The land under cultivation has not increased, but the population is increasing, and this poses a serious problem to the people of Palampur. Now, factors of production. Factors of production means the input required for converting raw material into finished goods and services. What inputs do we require for the process of conversion of raw material into finished goods? So it is land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. Land, firstly, raw materials also we obtain from it, and secondly, in your institutions, your factories are set upon land. Labors are of 2 types, unskilled and skilled, and both are required in the process of conversion. Capital of 2 types, fixed capital and working capital. Working capital which keeps on rotating through salaries, right, for buying raw material, etc., and fixed capital are the machineries installed in the factories. An entrepreneur, from the business point of view, the finished goods will be sold in the market through entrepreneurship. Now, factors of production. Land, labor and capital are the basic requirements for production of goods and services, which are popularly known as factors of production. Land includes all free gifts of nature. Example, soil, water, forest, minerals, etc. Labor means human effort, which of course includes physical as well as mental labor. Physical capital is the third requirement for production. Physical capital includes fixed capital. Example, tools, machines, building, etc. Working capital includes raw materials such as seeds for the farmer, yarn for the weaver, and the money in hand. Alright? And even for buying seeds, for weaving yarn also, raw material is required, and that is bought with the help of money. Now, uneven distribution of land in village Palampur. Land is most important for farming. Unfortunately, not all the people engaged in farming activities have sufficient land for cultivation. There are altogether 450 families in village Palampur, out of which 150 families, most of them are Dalit, means they are landless. 450 families are there and 150 are landless. Of the remaining families who own land, 240 families cultivate small plots of land, meaning less than 2 hectares. And cultivation of such plots doesn't bring adequate income to the farmer family. On the other hand, more than half of the area of the village is covered by plots that are quite large in size. The remaining 60 families of medium and large farmers cultivate more than 2 hectares of land. A few of the large farmers have land extending over 10 hectares or even more. Thus, we can say that the distribution of cultivated land is quite unequal in Palampur. Why it is unequal? Because 150 families, they don't have land. 240 families, they have very small size of land, right? Even if they do farming, it is not sufficient for their livelihood. And the remaining half of the village land is occupied by 60 families, among which many of them own 10 hectares of land. So this is somewhat uneven, right? Why? Because 150 are landless and 60 families are occupying the half of the land of the village. So this even brings a distribution in the social status of the people as well, right? The 150 family survival becomes difficult, whereas the 60 families, they are living in extreme, you can say extreme, they are leading an extreme luxurious life, whereas 240 families, they are struggling for their survivalhood, right? They have to look for jobs other than farming as well to earn bread and butter for their family. Now, farming in Palampur. If you can see, this picture is very clear, right? Small farmers, 36% of land, right? Now, a cultivated area, small farmers. 64% is occupied by medium and large farmers, and 36% by small farmers. See, is it clear? And number of farmers which are there in medium and large class, only 20% of farmers they are there, and 80% of farming. So if we talk about the uneven distribution, first of all, if we talk about the distribution of cultivable land, so 30% belongs to small farmers and 64% it belongs to rich farmers. But if we talk about their dependency on farming, how do they take farming activity? Only 20% of the rich people, they are involved in farming, and 80% of the major population from small farmers, right? Their dependence is on farming. Their livelihood, it depends on farming. Now 75% of people depend on farming. Land area in the village under cultivation is fixed. Since 1960, there has been no expansion in land area under cultivation. No further scope to increase farm production. Land is fixed for agriculture in the village. Types of measurements: hectares, biga, genital, and cent. This is the units of measurement in which the land is measured. So this was all about the village Palampur. Right? Now we had a discussion about the village. We had studied till farming in Palampur and how there is unequal distribution of land among people of Palampur. You'll go through these slides. Whatever we have studied about Palampur, you will just go through these slides once, right? If any query is there, you can forward me your query on WhatsApp group. Also, your homework I'll be mentioning on your WhatsApp group, which I need in time. Thank you.